It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Tuesday evening, and it's Top Hit Tuesday right here on ZiFM Sport, your favorite show, and we bring you nothing but the top stories out of the world of sport, and those stories are brought to you, picked apart, analyzed, dissected, and of course made simpler for your listening by a top team of pundits. That team is Chris Midzi, Barry Manandi, Alois Monjira, and our producer is Sean Tapirinika. My name is Mike Madoda. What do we have in the offing for you on Top Hit Tuesday? On the home front, attacking midfielder Perfect Chikwende has paid tribute to his former coach at AFC Platinum, Norman Mapeza, for the role he played in shaping his career for the big stage. This coming after he made the big move to Simba Sports Club out in Tanzania. We'll take a look at FC Platinum's ambitions. Can they afford to carry on selling their best players if they're to make an impression on the continent? And can they afford to keep on shopping in Zimbabwe, or should they be looking for better players, bigger players beyond our borders, just like what Simba Sports Club has done with them, nabbing Perfect Chikwende? And then we'll also have some international sports news for you today, being a Tuesday. Our staple, the Formula One report, proudly brought to you by Zimoko, is back. And the news is that, according to team boss Otmar Zafnoyer, Sebastian Vettel's arrival at Aston Martin for 2021 represents an important moment in the new look squad's Formula One development. And then we'll also zone in on cricket, where India, the Spice Boys, have pulled off a record run chase in a thrilling final session to hand Australia their first defeat at Brisbane's famed Gabba Oval since 1988 and clinched the 4-Test series 2-1.
We'll take you around the world in 60, starting off in South Africa, where the director of South Africa Rugby, Rassie Erasmus, has said that the Currie Cup final scheduled for the 30th of January will take place, even if not on the scheduled date. In news from Spain, the Davis Cup is to undergo further reforms, with the finals extended to an 11-day event and proposals to hold it in multiple cities. And we'll touch down in the United States, where Steph Curry finished with 26 points as the Golden State Warriors beat the LA Lakers 115-113 to end their 5-game winning streak.
We'll dive into our play of the day here on Top Hit Tuesday, and it's time for the beautiful game, where we'll start at Chan, where Morocco began their title defence with a 1-0 win over Togo last night. In the Premier League, Arsenal continued their recent revival with a convincing 3-0 win over a sorry Newcastle side at the Emirates. In Serie A, Stefano Pioli said Zlatan Ibrahimovic exceeded expectations with his brace in Milan's 2-0 win over Cagliari last night. We'll also have news from the Bundesliga and La Liga. All of that and so much more to look forward to on this edition of ZiFM Sport. But first, our power play. This one's by DJ Steve. It's featuring Nokwazi. It's called Wonke Muntu Uyapenika.
The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis. From Rufaro to Barberfields, Mandava to Nyamunga, all the perfect moments in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League come together on ZiFM Sport.
Don't forget, you're a big part of the show. Get in touch with us on social media. Follow and interact with @ZiFM Sport, or even in our individual capacities. We are only too willing to talk sport, local as well as international, and hear your take on the big sports stories as they happen. Now, the big sports story here in Zimbabwe at the moment that's been doing the rounds over the past week is the big move made by Perfect Chikwende from Zimbabwe champions FC Platinum to Tanzanian champions Simba Sports Club after the two squared off for the right to play in the group stages of the CAF Champions League. Now, Perfect Chikwende has paid tribute to his former coach, that is Norman Mapeza, for the role he played in shaping his career for the big stage. Now, this is very, very interesting, Barry. Perfect Chikwende didn't play that much under Norman Mapeza, and initially he had a shaky start to his FC Platinum career under Norman Mapeza, and he really cut his teeth or found his way at FC Platinum when Lizo Sweswe took over.
He did, and then I think when the return of Norman Mapeza took place, he had bedded himself in as an important part of that FC Platinum side. So consequently, he became the player that he is, yes, thanks in part to Norman Mapeza. We don't know what happened at training, perhaps. Perhaps it was an arm around his shoulder, always giving him instructions as to what to do. But you can see how different coaches at different times at FC Platinum used him differently. Lizo Sweswe used him differently. Peter de Jong used him just behind Stanley Ngala, who was the out-and-out striker in the 10 role almost. And then when Norman Mapeza returned, he used him out on the left channel, sometimes even playing him as a left back. So he's a very versatile player, but the one thing that we can all agree as ZiFM Sport is that he is maybe not quite perfect, but certainly quality.
Yeah, he's a quality player, Chris, and we have to then ask questions of FC Platinum and ask that, can they afford to carry on losing players who are a perfect fit in their system? Pardon the pun. Quality players at FC Platinum, especially if they have designs on making an impression in this year's Confederations Cup and making an impression in the future Champions League assignments that they are going to possibly have.
I think it's a tricky situation for them. They definitely need to be making more inroads on the continent. I think every season when they go out on the continent, we talk about the fact that they need a certain quality of player that you're not necessarily going to find in the country. And when you do find the gems like Perfect Chikwende, they're players you want to hold on to for as long as you can, especially if you're going to be playing on the continent. So if they're going to be losing players like Perfect Chikwende, or rather letting go of players like Perfect Chikwende, they need to then go on to the continent and shop for the kind of quality that they come across as well, which is exactly how Perfect went. It was after they played Simba, and Simba said, you know what, this is a player that we want. FC Platinum needs to do exactly the same thing, and it's not like they're short on the buck, so they definitely need to go shopping.
If they're not short on the buck, Chris, then doesn't it make perfect sense to hold on to your players rather than release them to your rivals and then have to go shopping in the same market on the continent? Why not show that you are a club that's arrived, that you've got a big club mentality, and that you're not willing to lose players to teams like Simba? With all due respect, I mean, if this was Al Ahly, if this was Pitso Mosimane coming in and saying, I want Perfect Chikwende, that's a different consideration, because we are talking about multi-million-dollar leagues in North Africa. If this was Mamelodi Sundowns, it would be different. But this is Simba Sports Club. Surely FC Platinum should say, we can match Simba Sports Club's wages, and we offer you just about the same prospects for African football.
They probably would want to do that, but one thing that I don't think is working in FC Platinum's favor specifically for this season is that there's no football being played in this country, and that's a very big draw card, I'm sure, for any player, especially considering things like age, where an entire season, an entire year of no playing football it's a long time for a player. So I think that's the one draw card that this season they didn't have, and possibly that may have been the attraction for Perfect Chikwende, because in terms of wages, in terms of money, in terms of whatever package, FC Platinum could have easily matched it. But when you have an entire system where no football is being played, you're going to have more problems.
From an organizational perspective, just to add on to what Chris is saying, from an organizational perspective, I think that, look, players come and go. It's standard fare. All of the clubs in the world, whether they are big clubs, small clubs, or whatever the case may be, see the ins and outs of players. But I think from an organizational perspective, there should be a little more order in the way in which things happen. Now, we hear in the rumor mill that FC Platinum earned about $100,000 for the transfer of Perfect Chikwende. He was one of their best players, most definitely. Now, if they're valuing their best player at $100,000, then I begin to question and say, is that the right valuation for a player of his ilk? Because I would say that if Perfect Chikwende is that level, he's probably about 250, probably 300,000 rated just at Zimbabwean valuation. So they sold him at a cut price. That's where the problem is. That I think there needed to be more of a valuation on the player.
Hang on, Barry. Can I come in? Are you saying that 100,000 was too little for Perfect Chikwende? Are you saying he's worth 250,000 US?
I would say his value to FC Platinum is a lot more than 100,000 on the basis of what he can do. Therefore, they were willing initially to sell him for 50,000. Remember, he was supposed to have joined Azam, and they'd agreed a deal for 50,000 with Azam, which is like the same price that Azam bought Prince Dube from Highlanders for. So that looked to be the going rate. They'd agreed on that price, and then Azam, of course, had filled their quota in terms of foreign players, so they couldn't sign him. And then they were able to do a deal. George Neda was able to do a deal with Simba, and FC Platinum negotiated hard. And I guess what made the deal a bit easier in terms of structuring and doing was because Perfect Chikwende terrorized Simba. So they knew the value of the player that they were getting. But when you say 250,000, Barry, is the top price you're going to get for players even in South Africa. Because if you translate that to Rand, you're talking about 3 to 4 million Rand. All the more on the basis of what you've just said, that Simba knew what they were getting, a player who terrorized them, a player who was good, a player who, as you quite rightly pointed out, FC Platinum didn't need to sell. It's not like they were hard up for cash. It's a case of there was a deal on the table. Do we take it? Do we not take it? So it needed to be worth their while. So I think they may have had an opportunity to push for a little bit more. But the second point I wanted to make was that I completely agree with Chris that FC Platinum is doing too little of shopping in the teams that they play against. They are playing some teams that are very good, like they played Costa do Sol of Mozambique. There was a very good winger. I think he
was right winger, very good, very good,
very good. We should have heard a move for that sort of player almost immediately, just to bolster their roster and make sure that they can make a tilt for African football. That, I think, would demonstrate their ambition as well going forward. So we'll see who they replace Perfect Chikwende with and how they're able to get new bodies in, but they certainly need to.
And now, Chris, this lack of ambition by Zimbabwean clubs when it comes, for example, to what they demand when they are selling players, is it a question of Zimbabwean clubs going in with a typical Zimbabwean mentality, Zimbabwean market mentality? Because when trades are done in Zimbabwe, they're done at the lowest level possible. So either clubs will try and get a player on a free transfer, which means that they nab him for nothing, and so they're not used to shelling out. And then secondly, when they do shell out for players, it's anything between 10,000 and sort of like 20,000 for your top tier player. So clubs are then going in demanding, if you say 50,000, for example, that's more than double that you'd get on the local scene, instead of thinking international, instead of thinking continental and saying, okay, what is the true value of a good player who's got Champions League experience?
And that's exactly what FC Platinum should have done in terms of approach. I think as Zimbabweans, we almost, because of the system that we operate in, where, like you said, players are not valued as highly as they should be. We don't have a complete system in terms of agents and movements and actual money moving around in our football. We don't have a lot of that. And consequently, when a team like FC Platinum goes onto the continent, they kind of, it's almost like PTSD, where they're just going on there with their Zimbabwean mentality to say, you know what, we'll just get what we can get for this particular player. When in actual fact, I'm pretty sure for Simba, this was a really good bit of business. It was a good bargain for this kind of player. And they should have actually had a better valuation done for the player if they were going to sell a player that for them has made quite a dent on the continent, and not even just this season. I remember there was a game with Orlando Pirates where that was the first time he really stood out, and multiple people were talking about him. But you go and sell him for 100,000, and this is coming off the back of, like you said, the Zimbabwean mentality of not having a fully fledged system where players are really valued.
And the reason why I asked Chris that question, Barry, as we wrap up the discussion, is simply because when I take a look at the prices of players that are coming out of West Africa, for example, when they are being bought by North African teams, or even some of the players that have moved from West Africa, from Central Africa into Tanzania, or from Zambia into Tanzania, the prices are a lot higher. You're hearing of figures 150,000, 250,000 into Tanzania. Into North Africa, you are hearing some prices sometimes that even breach the $1 million mark. So yes, I'm thinking that our clubs need to stop being small-minded when it comes to negotiating transfer fees for their best assets. Even when we're selling players into South Africa, we're selling them for peanuts.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you're making my argument for me, especially as it comes to FC Platinum, whereby it's a case of doing a transfer that they don't need the money. I think they needed to rate their player and say, guys, if you want to do this deal, it's going to cost you 250,000, and then we would see that gradual increase of the values of players. I was just looking on Transfer Market, and Perfect Chikwende is not rated at the moment, so we can basically set our own price depending on what value we place on the player to our team.
Absolutely. Chikwende will now be turning out for Simba Sports Club in the CAF Champions League, turning out for the Tanzanian champions. No doubt he'll be a perfect fit there too, but he'll be such a big miss for FC Platinum. The only reprieve for FC Platinum, like Chris pointed out, there is no local football at the moment. They've only got continental football to look forward to, and that could have been one of the biggest draw cards for Simba Sports Club in their negotiations with Perfect Chikwende.
Hi, my name is Rudoni Shamba, Maitoria's super striker. You're listening to ZiFM Sports.
All right, let's give you a local sports news roundup, starting with netball. It's just a few weeks to go before the Vitality Netball Super League gets underway in the United Kingdom, and Felicitas Kwangwa says although she knows the level of competition is going to be different, she's ready for the challenge. It's been 2 months since the Zimbabwean player moved to the United Kingdom, where she joined Netball Super League club Surrey Storm. The league is expected to get underway early next month. On to athletics news. The president of the NAAZ, the National Athletics Association of Zimbabwe, Tendai Tagara, has urged athletes to remain resilient and focused despite the ongoing challenges. NAAZ is one of the associations that have applied to the Sports and Recreation Commission for exemption, since they have a number of regional, continental and international competitions lined up for this year. The National Association have athletes that are chasing qualification for the Olympics set to take place on the 23rd of July to the 8th of August, and need to continue their preparations if they are to stand a chance of qualification. Let's wrap it up with hockey news, where following the announcement of the reduced under-21 women's field hockey squad to represent the country at the Junior Africa Cup of Nations, coach Tendai Maredza says they are now working towards coming up with the final team. The Junior Africa Cup of Nations is serving as a qualifier for the Junior World Cup. The tournament will take place from the 22nd to the 28th of March in Accra, Ghana. Zimbabwe are set to be among the African countries that will be vying for the remaining slot to the World Showpiece.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play. From sunny Melbourne to the streets of Monaco, the deserts of Bahrain to the jungles of Brazil, get up to speed on the Formula One Report. The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoco, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoco, specialized service for special brands.
Now, if you're a big follower of Italy Serie A, you'll know that Fiat and Jeep are big sponsors of Juventus Football Club, the champions of Italy. And we can tell you that those champion brands are part of our stable, and we are super excited about the arrival of the Fiat Tipo. Now, you don't need much to get a lot when it comes to this vehicle. Contemporary design, captivating lines, comfort and technology are all guaranteed as standard, Barry. The Tipo sedan is here, and I guess what will excite our listeners even more, Barry, is what's under the hood.
Absolutely, because it features a 1.4-litre petrol engine with a 6-speed manual transmission that churns out 70 kilowatts of power. The Tipo is one of the most competitively priced sedans on the market, with a starting price of $25,000, that's US dollars, all inclusive of duty, VAT. That's the drive-away price on the trim. So that is great value for the amount of car that you are getting. But it doesn't end there, Mike, because as you said at the top of the show, you said that we're talking Jeep as well, and you can take the show on the road this year with a fresh spin on the iconic Jeep brand styling with the Renegade. It brings a bold, rugged look that's built to stand out wherever you go. The Renegade is made for life on the go with the latest technologies like Apple CarPlay support, helping to keep you safe, secure, connected, and entertained just the way you like it.
Barry, what I love about that car is that from the driveway to the highway to very far away, it's still an absolutely smashing vehicle where 4x4 comes standard. The other thing that the Jeep Renegade, Barry, is big on is that it's big on safety and security, with over 70 features that you will look out for you as well as anyone who's in the vehicle. And I can tell you that it's available from Zimoco and in so many trendy colors for just $39,000. That is the start price. It starts from $39,000 US dollars, all inclusive. Now, Barry, we talked about the Renegade. Tell me about the Jeep Campus.
Oh, this little car is phenomenal. It's really great. And Mike and I were privileged to be involved in a retail promotion a few years ago, and we gave away a few Jeep Compasses. And let me tell you, we wished that we were allowed to participate and win one of these lovely motor cars. Now, the Compass is refined and ready to impress with an available black roof, bi-xenon high-intensity discharge headlamps with an LED signature strip, comfortable contemporary interior styling, complete with the available Alpine premium audio system, abundant cargo options, and roomy configuration seating that keeps up with your lifestyle. Now, stay connected in ways you never thought possible with a pinch to zoom touchscreen that controls the interior temperature, available heated seats, and entertainment features. In addition to being smartphone compatible, it means that you are connected even though you're lovely in your vehicle.
Quick Formula One update for you before we tell you more good news coming out of Zimoco. Now, according to team boss Otmar Zafnoyer, Sebastian Vettel's arrival at Aston Martin for the 2021 season represents an important moment in the new look squad's Formula One development. Vettel, the four-time world champion, begins a new chapter in his illustrious career after joining what was the Racing Point team from Ferrari, where he was let go after 6 seasons. And his last few seasons at Ferrari are certainly underwhelming, and he's hoping for a new start as a partner to Lance Stroll at Aston Martin. We certainly wish Sebastian Vettel all the best, and we hope he can give Lewis Hamilton the much needed competition.
All right, now remember, all of the Fiat and Jeep vehicles that we talked about, and even models we didn't talk about, come inclusive of 3 years or 100,000 kilometers and a first free service at Zimoco at 10,000 kilometers. Buy with confidence from Zimoco, knowing that should something go wrong with your vehicle, you're covered by manufacturer's warranty. A reminder that our Douglas Road workshops, parts department, and Borrowdale Service Center are open Monday to Friday, even in this lockdown, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. We urge our customers to please book a service appointment beforehand. Our contact details can be found on our website, that's zimoco.co.zw. Please abide by our COVID-19 safety protocols to protect our staff members and other customers. Wear a mask at all times, sanitize your hands, keep a distance of 2 meters, from other people and adhere to our temperature checks.
Now, don't forget, we're running a very exciting promotion here, courtesy of Zimoco. Don't forget to WhatsApp our Zimoco number with your child's name, age, favorite Formula One team and driver, and your child could be on next week's ZiFM Zimoco Formula One report shout out. So this week, we want to send a shout out to an avid Formula One supporter, and his name is Benji Evans, who's 8 years old, and his favorite Formula One driver is, of course, the Mercedes AMG team, and his favorite drivers are Lewis Hamilton and Daniel Ricciardo. And before we go, guys, would love to wish the big man, Mark Pozzo, a member of at ZiFM Sport, a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mark. Have a big one, guys. Are you going to join me in singing Happy Birthday to you? Happy birthday to you.
The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoco, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoco, specialized service for special brands.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Z. It's full, it's down the ground, it'll be at least one. Saini, he's got an injury with the groin. It goes as far as the fence. India, incredible. Rishabh Pant is the star. India win the test.
Z.
All right, now India pulled off a record run chase in a thrilling final session to hand Australia their first defeat at Brisbane's Gabba ground since 1988 and clinched the 4-test series 2-1. Wicketkeeper Rishabh Pant starred with a swashbuckling 89 not out as the injury-depleted visitors overhauled the 328-run target with 3 overs to go, winning by 3 wickets. All right, let's see how it went with the tail of the tape. Australia 369 all out. Manus Labuschagne with 108. Tim Payne with a 50, and then India in response 336, Thakur with 67, Sundar 62, and Josh Hazlewood taking a 5 for 57. Australia then in the second innings 294 all out, Smith with 55, Siraj taking 5 for 73, and then India 329 for 7 to win the match. Gill 91 and Rishabh Pant with 89 not out. India winning by 3 wickets. Let's hear from India's winning captain, Ajinkya Rahane.
It was all about character for us, showing that fighting spirit on the field. We were not thinking too much about the result. We just wanted to play good cricket, and I thought credit to each and every individual. Not only players but support staff as well. I mean, they did fantastic job. Our physios have kept each and every individual fit. I think they faced some tough time, but they were just smiling every time, and it was all about team effort. So yeah, it was. I think we shown that character and I think attitude on the field that helped us a lot.
Z.
What a feat, Mike! And I think it's from 2 levels. From the start of this series, you wouldn't have seen an Indian victory for the series, and from the start of this match, you wouldn't have seen an Indian victory in this match, but they pulled it off.
Yeah, absolutely, Barry. I think character is a term that's often abused in world sport, and we often assign it to some really mediocre achievements. But this is one of the standout performances in cricket. You have to go back to November 1988 when the all-conquering West Indies side that featured the likes of Sir Viv Richards won at the Gabba to beat Australia. This is a place that is a fortress for Australia. Even when they are playing badly, they inevitably go to the Gabba and they win. But against this India side, Barry, an India side that was lacking leadership, their captain gone home, an India side that was blighted by injury, had so many young guys, this India side pulled it off. And I know we can talk about Gill, we can talk about Rishabh Pant, the batters, because that's often who we talk about when teams win. But I want to give credit to their bowlers, because coming into this test match, their bowlers, Barry, had a combined 11 wickets. between them. And Australia had nearly 1,100 wickets, I think 1,092 wickets in their quartet. So this was an inexperienced bowling lineup, but it's this bowling lineup that kept India in the game when it looked like Australia would run away with it. And Siraj, for me, in that second innings where he took a fiver, was the outstanding performer for India. And it's on that foundation that they actually built this victory, Barry. So credible for India, and it's a compliment to them and a compliment to the depth that's in their cricket system, that they got players who can come in from the cold, inexperienced, and still rise up to the occasion in very taxing environments.
Absolutely, and I think this Test series will be remembered for records. The record run chase, yes, in the last game, but remember, there was the record lowest total in Test cricket of 30, being bowled out for 36 by Australia, and losing that series opener and managing still to turn it around and win the series 2-1. Congratulations to India.
Hi, I'm JC Krill, Springbok and Blue Bulls backline player. You are listening to ZiFM Sports.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in South Africa, where the director of SA Rugby, Rassie Erasmus, has said that the Currie Cup final scheduled for the 30th of January will take place, even if not on the scheduled date. Erasmus also said that the 4 teams taking part in this week's Currie Cup semi-finals have until 12 p.m. on Thursday to submit their matchday lineups. This is to ensure that teams are on the same page from a COVID-19 perspective because of the postponement of the playoffs. We'll head over to Spain, where the Davis Cup is to undergo further reforms, with the final extended to an 11-day event and proposals to hold it in multiple cities. The competition underwent a controversial revamp in 2019 after the International Tennis Federation partnered with footballer Gerard Piqué's Cosmos organization. The home and away format was largely scrapped and replaced by an 18-team finals event played over a week at Madrid's Caja Magica in November. We'll touch down in the United States, where Steph Curry finished with 26 points as the Golden State Warriors beat the LA Lakers 115-113 to end their 5-game winning streak. Curry scored a 3-pointer with 1 minute 7 seconds left before LeBron James missed a 3-pointer at the buzzer to give Golden State the win.
Hi, I'm Warriors coach Zdravko Logarušić, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference. Z. The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport.
The lion roars. The warrior beats his drum. Battle lines are drawn in the jungles of Cameroon. It's your Chan 2021 report on ZiFM Sport.
It's all happening in the jungles of Cameroon, and Morocco began their title defense with a 1-0 win over Togo last night. Wydad Casablanca player Yahya Jabrani scored from the penalty spot after 27 minutes, a retaken penalty at that, to give his side victory. The game took place at the Reunification Stadium in Douala, Cameroon's port city. And important, Chris, that the defending champions of the tournament, just like the hosts, do well, and Morocco got the 3 points they needed in the opening encounter.
Definitely, it sets a good pace for them, and also if you're defending champions, there's a certain level of expectation that exists for you, and they definitely needed to meet that, which is what they managed to do in this particular match.
So Morocco are now top of Group C, in which they're drawn alongside Togo as well as East African neighbours Rwanda and Uganda, who played out a goalless draw in last night's second fixtures. Tonight's action is Group D. Zambia and Tanzania is currently underway out in Cameroon, and the 9 o'clock kickoff is Guinea versus Namibia. And Barry, are you pleasantly surprised to see Namibia there? I mean, it must be a monumental feat if you consider the fact that Namibia hasn't had a professional soccer league in operation for the last 18 months, and yet they were able to put together a team that qualified for Chan ahead of the likes of Botswana, ahead of the likes of South Africa, as well as Mozambique.
Yeah, smart strategy, because when their league stopped operating, what they did was they have a pool of players that remain almost in camp perpetually, training, preparing, and all sorts. And in that time, they've actually moved players into South Africa and all sorts. So there is something that is happening in Namibia that if they had a functional league, I think Namibia will be moving in leaps and bounds. So congratulations to them. Pleasantly surprised that they're there, and hopefully they can make a bit of a dent.
We'll be giving you results from Group D on tomorrow's edition of ZiFM Sport, as well as building up to that crucial game for our Warriors when they take on Burkina Faso in their second match of CHAN 2021.
All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Back here's Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudence. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles it home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
In England, Arsenal continue their recent revival with a convincing 3-0 win over a sorry Newcastle side at the Emirates. Arsenal's young guns have been the stars of their recent revival, and Emil Smith-Rowe and Bukayo Saka combined to seal victory on the hour mark. Let's hear from one of those youngsters, Emil Smith-Rowe.
Yeah, we all enjoyed it so much. I think we're all coming together as a team, so we're really happy with the win today, and can't be happy with the 3 points. I feel like we're all coming together as a group. We've had some meetings off the pitch, and I feel like we're so much stronger now as a team, and everyone's getting fit, and we're all getting together on the training pitch, and I think just the whole group is so much stronger, and I think it's showing on the pitch. I think I've been a bit unfortunate with injuries and stuff, but the manager's giving me a chance, and I'm so grateful, and I just hope to repay him, and every opportunity I'm getting, I just want to show him that I'm good enough to be in this team.
Z. At the moment, Mike, you look all over the field for Arsenal, and you can see effort, you can see endeavour, you can see desire. Whether you're looking at Saka, you're looking at Shaka, you're looking at Laka, any one of those, they I just wanted to do that. Yeah. Any one of the Arsenal players, there is a renewed desire, and I think that's central to it. But you still need the good pieces, and Emil Smith-Rowe is certainly one of those good pieces.
You know what they say, Barry? Ugaona player inokunyama socks. I know Tamba Bora. So, he's a fantastic footballer, this guy. And to be honest, he's going to mitigate against the departure of Mesut Ozil, who joined Fenerbahce yesterday as well. So he's a fantastic player, fantastic playmaker. He's got a decent touch, a decent pass. He's able to drive with the ball and get into really dangerous places, Barry. So for me, the revival of Arsenal has been spearheaded by youngsters. I've been a bit disappointed with some of the more experienced players that were brought in by Mikel Arteta and were supposed to have been the ones, to be honest, acting as the engine to the revival of Arsenal. Players like Willian, players like David Luiz, I don't think they've really given Arsenal what they're looking for, but it's the youngsters. I think Arteta is going to increasingly turn to his youngsters to make sure that Arsenal get back, first of all, into the top half of the table and then possibly start challenging for Europe. But the big story has got to be the 2 goals scored by their captain, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, after a lean period.
Yeah, and you absolutely segued perfectly into what I wanted to discuss next, Chris, where, one of the senior players who came under a lot of criticism was captain Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And to get 2 goals last night, 2 good goals, Mark Hugh, and have a decent performance, gets the monkey off his back.
It really gets the monkey off his back. I think around the time he signed a new contract, a bigger contract, I don't know if it was the pressure that came with that contract, but he almost fell off, let me put it that way. And because of the fact that for a long time he had almost carried Arsenal on his back in terms of scoring goals, there was a lot of criticism. Look, players go through those patchy periods, but I think especially for him, it was because Arsenal was now not putting out as many goals as they were used to when he was fit and firing. So it's great that he's scoring goals again. He needs to continue to do that if Arsenal is going to continue the resurgence.
Well, they've achieved one half of what Mike suggested as being the goals. That is top half of the table. They're sitting in 10th now. And so let's see where Arsenal goes. Tonight's matches, Leicester side that's dreaming of another historic Premier League title. They play host to Chelsea, a Chelsea side aiming to get their top four charge back on track tonight. Michael, you're one of the chief critics of Frank Lampard because you feel that the man is lucky to be in that job, lucky to have spent $250 million, and he's not giving Chelsea the value that they deserve. This is going to be a stern test.
Yeah, it's going to be a stern test. And the reason why I'm very critical of Frank Lampard is because he didn't go through the full apprenticeship for the Chelsea job. I think previously Chris has also questioned the merits of appointing Andrea Pirlo at Juventus. And you've got to say that these are inside jobs where you get the job because you are someone who the club knows. You are a club legend, and as a result, you've got a relationship with the general manager and you get the job. In this case, Frank Lampard, a favorite son of Chelsea, given the job, obviously because of his personal relationship with Roman Abramovich and those in the Chelsea system. But he didn't do a full apprenticeship, which is what we are seeing the likes of Steven Gerrard doing. Steven Gerrard has gone into the backwaters in Scotland, and he's doing a full apprenticeship where he's had to upstage Celtic. Took Rangers, a job that no one wanted because people say you're never going to upstage Celtic. He's managing to do that. And then the hope for him is then to get an appointment in the Premier League. And when he comes, he will have a bit of experience. Frank Lampard was manager at Derby, okay? He failed to get them promoted. The biggest achievement is that he beat Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds in a playoff. And Chelsea is just too big a job for him because he's not tactically astute enough and is coming up against a Brendan Rodgers who is very tactically astute, who's very tactically versatile. So Frank Lampard, I get the feeling, is fighting for his very job tonight. He's going to have to win this game. He doesn't win this game, I have a feeling that even Roman Abramovich, that long rope that he's given him, it's going to be cut possibly this week or sometime soon.
And it's a Roman Abramovich we're not used to, isn't it, Chris? Because this is a guy who doesn't suffer fools gladly. I mean, you could be sitting in second in the table and still lose your job to Roman Abramovich. But his son, in quotation marks, Lampard, has been given a lot of rope. You agree with Mike that tonight is the night?
Not necessarily tonight, but I think if I've given you a certain amount of money, you've got the key players that you said you wanted.
Mention the amount, Chris. £220 million.
220 million pounds. If I've given you that amount of money, I expect you to perform. And if you don't perform, that's where now I wouldn't blame him for becoming increasingly impatient, because initially the excuse is, oh, he hasn't got the players that he needs. He's got the players that he needs now. He's got possibly one of the best starting lineups. So why are they not performing? It's definitely down to the manager, and I don't blame Ibrahimovic at all.
And Barry, let me just point out what Chris said, that he's got one of the best lineups. And it isn't just one of the best lineups. He's actually got a variety of players in terms of versatility, in terms of how they play. So if he was tactically versatile, he'd actually be able to have a Chelsea side that's able to play in different ways. Just take a look at their strikers, for example. They've got Timo Werner, they've got Olivier Giroud, they've got Tammy Abraham.
Yeah.
Those are all different sort of players. Just take a look at their white players. Ziyech, they've got Pulisic, they've got Kai Havertz, they've got Mason Mount. They've got players who can play differently. The likes of Jorginho in midfield, Conte. If he just had that tactical versatility, Chelsea would be able to put out horses for courses in their games, and they would be challenged. They should be at the top, Barry. They should be challenging at the top.
They certainly should be. And I prefer to call it £250 million.
Oh, sounds even worse when you say $250 million.
It sounds doubly worse.
Sounds like the Zimbabwe national budget.
It really does. Well, anyway, Chelsea takes on Leicester tonight. Other matches in the Premier League: West Ham will take on West Brom, and then there is the FA Cup match between Southampton and Shrewsbury Town as well tonight.
The Nerazzurri, the Black and Blues, Inter Milan.
It's Romelu Lukaku, and it was never in doubt. He's a beast at the best of times, but this season he has become a monster.
The Giallorossi, the Yellow and Reds, AS Roma.
Belotti has a go! Tremendous hits! That's what he's capable of!
La Viola, the Purple Ones, Fiorentina.
Brock Ribery seals a glorious win for Fiorentina with a sumptuous goal at San Siro.
The Bianconeri, the black and whites, Juventus.
Ronaldo seals yet another 3 points for Juventus.
Tough yet colourful. The best of Italian football on Z.
On to some news out of Italy. Stefano Pioli said Zlatan Ibrahimovic exceeded expectations with his brace in Milan's 2-0 win over Cagliari last night. That victory saw Milan move 3 points clear of rivals Inter atop Serie A. Let's hear from Pioli.
Ibra è un campione in tutto quello che fa, è chiaro che col suo rientro.
Ibrahimovic is a world champion in everything that he does. Of course, now that he is back, we have more options and qualities. The more choices and strong players we have, the more likely we are to win games. He still surprises me, but now I know him so well. We always expect him to give the maximum, and today he exceeded our expectations.
Z.
So Barry, he's found the net in 9 successive starts for the first time in his career in Europe's top 5 leagues. Would you agree with Pioli's assertion that Zlatan has done way more than what was expected of him when he moved to Milan?
I'd be a fool not to, because in truth, this guy's, what is he? How old is he now? He's like 82. He has no right to be doing the things.
He's 39.
He's doing. A 39-year-old being signed by AC Milan, you wouldn't expect him to deliver in the quantum at the level that he is delivering. Yes, fine. Yes, one of them last night was a penalty, but you still got to tuck it away. And then he then delivers in an open goal as well. So look, the man is his movement, his ability on the ball, his sheer creativity around the ball is, you can't expect that of a 39-year-old, but he's delivering it. Yes, he's exceeded expectations, and in truth, AC Milan has got a lot more than they paid for.
I'm not going to disagree with you there. Tonight there's action in Coppa Italia. It's Roma versus Spezia.
In Germany, Borussia Dortmund travel to Bayer Leverkusen tonight, knowing that a win will put them in third place in the Bundesliga standings at the halfway stage of the season. Dortmund can swiftly put Saturday's frustrating result against Mainz behind them with a victory away to fellow contenders Leverkusen. It's been a stop-start season, Chris, for Borussia Dortmund. We touched on it on yesterday's show that they have been inconsistent when we expect results to go their way. They haven't exactly been able to deliver, and to be honest, nothing is guaranteed against a very good Bayer Leverkusen side.
Nothing is guaranteed, and like we couldn't figure out yesterday exactly where the issues are stemming from, but it's probably because of this young team. They'll have to dig in their heels tonight, because Leverkusen is definitely not going to be a pushover, and they're going to have to basically pull the result out and continue as they were the last match they played. They managed to grind out that win, so they need to continue on that run.
Yeah, and when you take a look at Leverkusen, I mean, you've got to be impressed by the manner in which they've moved on after selling Kai Havertz. A lot of people thought they were going to struggle after losing the crown jewels, but it's been anything but that. They've rebounded quite spectacularly.
Yeah, absolutely. They have rebounded, and it's a measure of that it's a well-run club. Because anytime that you can lose a player as good as Kai Havertz, who had the impact that Kai Havertz had at Leverkusen, you think to yourself there's going to be some shaking, but it hasn't been to the extent that we would have expected. So I think they've run it well. Everyone has pitched in, and they continue to be a formidable opponent for any team they come up against, and least of all, Borussia Dortmund tonight.
And of course, they've got players like Dragovic and Diaby, and I think they added Patrick Schick. So they remain a very potent outfit, especially in the hunt for goals. They themselves will be looking to rebound from a defeat in their last game. They lost to Union Berlin 1-0. Tonight's other matches, we'll see Mönchengladbach take on Werder Bremen. Mainz entertains Wolfsburg, and Hertha Berlin will be playing Hoffenheim in the capital.
Okay, we're out of time, but a quick update out of La Liga, where an agreement has been reached between Real Madrid and David Alaba on a 4-year contract, which will see the Austrian earn 11 million euros per year. According to a report from Marca, the defender has already passed his medical and will arrive on a free transfer during the end of season transfer window. Now, Alaba, he's 29 years old, and when he arrives at the club with an 11 million euro annual salary, he'll only be behind the likes of Eden Hazard, Gareth Bale, yes, he's still on the books of Real Madrid, Sergio Ramos and Toni Kroos, and I think it's his versatility that attracted Real Madrid. Now, tonight's matches, Cadiz take on Levante, Real Valladolid takes on Elche, while Alaves entertain Sevilla. We'll catch you tomorrow for Wacky Wednesday. Don't miss it. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manande, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.